Sending a cold email is a lot like talking to a pretty girl. Let me explain. So if a guy's at a bar and he finds a girl attractive, obviously he wants to talk to her, but a lot of times this person doesn't because they're afraid of being rejected. And, if they're rejected, they look stupid in front of everybody. And because of that fear, they just don't do it at all. So cold emailing is kind of similar because people are afraid to send emails because they're afraid that no one is going to respond or that they might get a negative response and somebody might say, hey, don't email me, never talk to me again. It's important to recognize this and break out of this mindset because what determines how successful someone is in sales, especially when it comes to cold emails, is their attitude towards the situation. And so we're going to dispel a lot of the misconceptions and misbeliefs about cold email so that you could have the right mindset and be successful in getting these meetings. And so the first thing is the fear of rejection, right? You send an email, you're afraid to get rejected. What do? Throughout this entire program, what we're going to teach you is exactly what people are thinking when they receive a cold email, and whatever they respond with, we're going to have an email script for you to reply back with. So basically, when you finish this master class, you're going to know exactly what to say and pretty much 99% of the situations you're going to come across with emails, so there's nothing to fear. The second thing that people often think about is why would anybody respond to a cold email, right? Isn't that strange? If they don't know who you are and you're trying to get their business, why would they do business with you? So a really big mindset shift that you have to have here is that rather than thinking, why would anybody want to talk with you if they don't know you, you want to think like, whoever you email, they're lucky to receive your email. And the thing is, people who run businesses are always looking for ways to either save time and money or make more money. And so if you have a product or service that does those things, of course they're gonna wanna talk to you. Conceptually, if you go up to somebody and say, hey, I could save you a ton of time, save you a ton of money, and I have a couple ways for you to make a ton more money than you are making now. Do you wanna have a conversation to see how we can work together? So in that situation, that person will obviously say, yeah, of course, why wouldn't I want to save time and money and make more money? And so when you're sending these cold emails, from a mindset perspective, you want to think that you are truly helping whoever you're reaching out to and that you could provide excellent value. And the trick is that you actually have to have a good product or service to believe in this. And once you know you have a good product or service, sending cold emails from a mindset perspective is going to be really easy because you're actually doing people a favor. People will be delighted to take your meeting. And of course, it's going to take time to develop this mindset and to develop the right techniques and strategies to get there. But I'm telling you, you have to be patient with this. For me, it took me a couple of weeks before I really started to get some real results with email. But after I learned it and I taught people exactly what I did step by step, they were able to get results immediately, meaning they're literally their first batch of emails, they're getting responses. But it doesn't necessarily happen so immediately for everybody. Some people, depending on their industry, depending on their business, it might take a little bit longer. So I want to set the right expectations for you guys that some of you guys will get results right off the bat. Others might take a couple weeks. It might even take a month. But remember, it takes hard work and it takes patience. But I know for sure if you follow these instructions that you're going to learn in this entire email course, I promise that you're going to get success. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Hey, what's going on, guys? So in this section, we're going to give you a crash course on what it means to be prospecting with cold emails. Now, the main goal that you want to keep in mind as you're thinking about your cold email strategy is you want to get a meeting with a company to see if it makes sense to work together. Now, again, I'm not saying that you're not begging for anybody's business. You're not trying to sell anything quite yet. All you're trying to do is identify a company and you're just trying to see if it makes sense to work with each other. If it's beneficial for both sides, then it might make sense to work with each other. But in the event, you email somebody and they tell you no, that's totally okay because it doesn't make sense to work with each other. So if you hyper focus on this goal and you're not pushy, you're not being a salesperson, but you're really just trying to see if it's a good fit, then people are a lot more likely to be receptive to your cold emails. When you're cold emailing people, you're sending a cold message to people that they have no idea who you are, and a lot of times they may not even know who your company is, and you're just trying to see if it makes makes sense to work with each other, and that's the only goal. And so for cold email, once you're able to get that meeting, whether it's in person or over the phone, then you could really have a real conversation on whether or not you should work with each other. In some cases, it might make sense to work with each other. Some cases, it may not, and that's totally okay. And so that is the main goal you want to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to the cold email funnel, there's a process that it takes to actually get that first meeting. And so the first part is you're sending the email, right? You're sending emails to all the people you've identified who you might think will be a good fit for your product or service. And the next step is the prospect, which is the person you're sending the email to, will open the email. And not everyone's going to open it. It might be 30%. If you're good, it might be 70%. So it really depends on your industry and how high quality your email is. And the next step is if the prospect opens the email, they're going to respond to that email. And they might say, hey, it's not a good time right now, maybe in the future. Or they might respond and say, hey, let's do a meeting this week. So that percentage may be around 7 to 9%. And that's the statistical average for B2B sales in all types of industries. And finally, if that prospect is receptive to your cold email, they're going to schedule a meeting with you, and you could discuss over the phone or whether it's in person to see if it makes sense to work with each other. So this is the 4-step process that you want to take your cold email funnel to. So when you divide them into 4 different sections, you can see which parts you're doing well in and which parts you need to improve, and you can continue from there. Now, to give you an example of how this works, let's say if you send 100 emails, 50% of the people you send it to might open that email. Out of those 50, maybe 7 to 9% are actually going to reply to that email. So that's going to be 4 people. And out of those 4 people, half of them might actually want to schedule a meeting with you. And so this is an example of just, what it takes to be successful in cold emails. Sometimes you might get better results. You might get, more than 2 meetings after sending 100 emails. You might not get any meetings. So it really is a trial and error process. But as long as you understand the system and you're willing to put in the work, it is going to work for you.